was in this era that we live in of, technological wonders and media and graphics and computers and networks and internet and all of that whiz bang stuff. It's really, really easy, and in fact I would argue that empirically it's demonstrable that most of us have become excessively passive in our function and appreciation of society. Essentially now we're worthy in economic terms, we're worth far more to the economy as consumers than we are as taxpayers. The actual amount of input into GDP is far more meaningful in our expenditure than it is in our tax contributions. So we're already orientated through the socioeconomic system into becoming retail end state participants. We're not creating anymore so much. We're observing and experiencing that which is already made. For most of human history, as hunter-gatherers and then as early agrarians and urbanites, we made stuff, and we made a lot of stuff. We made a lot of the things we needed for ourselves and for each other. Humans, by nature, their great big brains evolved because of our more complex social interactions, certainly, but also because we made things. We were tool users, and we became the most sophisticated tool users on the planet. So we're in this very passive culture now, where we're used to having all this packaged stuff delivered to us. And I get the feeling it's not really good for our brains to be so dependent upon the received word of whatever corporate entity or government entity wants to pour data, products, services, propaganda down your throat. That makes me more than uneasy. I think we're happier when we're also making things, doing things, constructing things, modifying things, changing things. I think it would behoove us all enormously to move into creative endeavors as often as we can. Make something, fix something, repair something, create something. You can write poems, you can paint, you can just go around your house and anyone else's that'll let you and repair things. That in itself is a creative act. It's a problem-solving act, but it's also creative. It allows your brain to think laterally. We need those synaptic interactions to continue in our brains. I think a lot of the depression, a lot of the mental health issues that revolve around modern life have an enormous amount to do with the fact that we've changed the way we live, the way we think, the way we process in the last 50 or 60 years dramatically. Those creative pursuits align our brain differently. They make us more independent. They tend to also require us to some degree, in most cases, to interact a little with other people in real life. They remind us of what we are, which is a highly successful tool-using, adaptive social species. And the more that we just take in things passively, the more we just receive, and the less we produce, I suspect very strongly that causes some terrible imbalances within us. I don't think that it's possible for most people to have really good mental health and self-esteem unless they're engaged in some kind of productive, active, conscientious behaviour, creative behaviour, behaviour that is conjugal to the repair and maintenance and creation of new things, and the repair and maintenance of existing things. Like we kind of need that. So like sometimes maybe sew your own button on. I know some people do, a lot of people don't. Sometimes try to, at the very least, attempt to do things that you wouldn't normally do. You know, try new things, get into model making, start painting, write poems, engage in creative pursuits. Gardening's fantastic. I love gardening. You know, do things that that just a little bit outside your wheelhouse. Get creative. And my suspicion is that in conjunction with regular exercise and a good diet, most of our mental health issues would disappear if people were able to explore those creative aspects of themselves, those productive, building, constructive aspects of themselves, in conjunction with just some exercise alone, even without the diet, will probably make them feel a hell of a lot better than they currently do. Again, sometimes too much of a good thing can cripple us. Don't be crippled. Oos.